Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the Anime-chan podcast revive video number 9, part 2. The first half of this was recorded live on YouTube on the main channel because my Twitch was suspended that weekend. So, yeah, I did live stream on the main channel, which I will post the link to the first half of this video, which is 3 hours long. 3 hours, and I only got through half of the replies, okay? And the reason for that is because, well, people had very controversial opinions. um and I guess we had a lot to say about that. And the live chat on YouTube was also very active. And there was one guy who had like 10 hot takes, and he was like this Jaegerist. So you could just imagine how distracted I got, but it was entertaining in some sense. But today, I just don't want to, I want to approach it from a different perspective a little bit. But I think two things that I noticed from last time and in between. The first thing is that and I knew this, but I'll say it again. There are better and worse ways to share your opinion, even if it's a very negative one, right? All I will say is that Knox was the best example of how to share a negative opinion. Like, it was easy to read, to understand his perspective, and disagree, in my own way. But that's what a good conversation is. I see where you're coming from, but I feel differently, and this is why. And I feel like he wrote some thoughts on Bleach. And I'm very biased for Bleach. But the way that he put his opinion, I think, was very fair. Like, very clear that it's his personal feelings, and I don't agree, but it was interesting to read. Then you get people that are just, they put it so badly. People keep telling me, oh, they're trolling, it's rage bait. Espada. But it really isn't. 9 out of 10 comments you wish was rage bait isn't. But that doesn't mean there aren't rage baiters out there. It's just that some people are, they truly have horrible opinions. And they truly share it in a horrible way. But, that's fun to read in its own way. So thank you for the entertainment. Okay, and then actually lastly, after that video, I saw a very long, I try not to read the answers until this video usually. But I did see one. And if I see replies like that, I probably won't even read them. I might skip them or just end the conversation quickly, because I've noticed that there's a difference between someone sharing an opinion and listening and disagreeing. And then there's people who have like convictions, beliefs. And I'll just read a summary of those two words: opinion versus belief. So an opinion is a provisional judgment or a preference about a subject, and the comment would usually be clear about that. It's easy to understand when someone feels like, hey, this is my preference, hey, this is my opinion. And it's often open to debate and based on a personal interpretation rather than perceived proof. They just give reasons for their feelings, and it's very clear that it's an opinion, A belief comes across differently. It's like a deep-seated conviction that is accepted as the speaker's absolute truth. And it's very difficult to have a conversation with someone like that because you're not sharing two different perspectives. It's like they're trying to convince you that theirs is the hard truth. And I do not like speaking to people like that, and I don't really want to waste time because there's a lot to get through and I don't have time for another 3-hour video. Yours was very interesting, Espada. It was very interesting. Oh, wait. Okay, sorry. I just needed to do something, so I paused the video, but there should be about 10 replies left. And in the live chat, a shout out to Espada, Dark Shadow, Booty, Odinoko, Hunter is here. Welcome, guys. Congratulations for sticking out this long in today's stream, because it has been quite the roller coaster. I mean, I reacted to Arcane today, and we talking about controversial opinions, we read like completely opposite opinions on Arcane. Like, some people absolutely love it, think it's, you know, history in cinema, and honestly, I think it's right up there. It's true. And then you have other people that are like, what even is going on? There's so much of this, there's so much of that, and like, we're seeing the exact same material and it's eliciting completely different feelings from people, but it's just that, it's just opinions. And even though I disagreed with a lot of the opinions, it was interesting to read, to see how someone, it's like you're eating the same chocolate chip cookie, but you know, someone likes that there's more chocolate chips in it, or someone likes that it's mixed with, you know, white chocolate and milk chocolate, and then this person's like, oh my gosh, why would you put white chocolate in here? Like, the exact same thing, but it's just opinions. And then you have people that take a cookie and like, this is not how you make a cookie. Let me show you how to make a cookie. And then you're like, but I like this in my cookies. And then like, no, let me tell you why that's wrong and why this is you. It's not a very good analogy, but I just wanted to give you an idea. But anyway, so that was Arcane, and it kind of illustrated how controversial opinions work. So that was fun. Then I watched One Piece. Then we came back, we did some Genshin stuff. So it's just been a long day, and we finally get to Christian of the Week. So to those of you with patience, we are finally here. And the first one is, once again, it seems like it's gonna be a doozy. Last time we ended with Shoru's comment, and it was so nice to end on, and I think we're starting off strong. Whose comment is this? Because I can only see M dot dot dot. Anyway, Frieren is overrated and it should not be number 1 on Mal. Top anime series of all time. Shout out bomb reviewers. That's interesting, because I remember before I started Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, I was very scared, because I heard that whenever an anime surpasses FMAB, people review bombed. And it made the fandom seem very scary. Oh, Martins. Okay. It made the fandom seem very scary, but in the end, I did react to FMAB, and no one was ever horrible, as far as I remember. Like, I've had some bad experiences with shonen fans, but FMAB's fandom, despite being full of review bombers, apparently, I had no bad experiences with them that I can remember. I think it can be a top 10 anime of 2020. With good arguments, it can reach top 5. But there is no way a series that's not even done can be the best ever. If we put together a group of people that's been watching anime for years, or reviewers, Frieren wouldn't even make the top 30. A group of people. I mean, that seems like a kind of crazy take, only because it is in the top 10. Now you want to make a new group and somehow prove that in that group it won't be in the top 10, but it is in the top 10. That's funny. I mean, yeah, I don't think it's a bad way. They're being mean about it, but I can understand why it wouldn't be everyone's top 10. Of course. It's just that it seems silly to argue that if we put together a group of people, because there is a group of people, and they have decided it's in the top 10. It's called the internet. It's called My Anime List. It's called Annie List. It's called I don't know, IMDb. Like, the lists speak for themselves. But I think what he means to say, if I put together a personally chosen, curated group of people with opinions that I approve of, Frieren wouldn't make it into. This is interesting. But yeah, totally, Frieren is not for everyone. I don't think, however, it's a good argument to make just because the story isn't finished means that you can't say it's the best. Because Vinland Saga exists. Because of the second season, I put it in my top 5. Doesn't matter if it's not finished. A show can give you characters and themes that exist. Like, you can't say, oh, I don't know if you're my favorite person, Kayla, because you haven't died yet. You haven't lived all of your life for me to judge you and decide if you're like my best friend. Like, that's not a good. Once again, you don't need to put it in your top 10, but I mean, Hunter x Hunter exists. People think that's the best thing since sliced bread, and that's fine, but it's not finished. So we shouldn't start saying the quality of something can only be judged upon its completion. That seems like a bad take to me. But saying that Frieren is not in your top 10, completely understandable. Second take, Oda still has not been able to make a better arc or saga than Water 7 and Enies Lobby. That's so funny because I strongly disliked Enies Lobby, but I guess that's based on the anime. That arc is One Piece at its peak. Marineford is the second best, but after that, he hasn't been able to make something as great. I mean, Luffy versus Usopp, Frankie's introduction, Luffy's Gear 2 moment. Okay, then he just lists all the great things. There hasn't been an arc as complete as this. Perhaps there are great moments, but these new arcs don't hit the same like the old ones. I can't really compare because, like I said, I didn't really love Enies Lobby at all. There were great moments, but that's based on the anime, whereas there were other arcs that I liked a lot more after. But cool. Third take, One Piece before the time skip is better than after the time skip, which I don't think is an unpopular opinion. I've heard that a lot, but might be controversial. There hasn't been any new arcs that could reach Water 7 / Marineford levels. Oda's sacrifice of the Mugiwara's development and focus of the expansion of the One Piece world is the main reason we haven't had something as great. I could care less about these new characters. I know Oda tries to make people cry by giving them tragic past, but bring back the focus on the protagonists. I've never thought that Oda tried to make me cry before. I personally really like long shonen, so I understand why people don't want the world to expand, I guess, because some people just are not as invested. I strongly despised the way that someone said that it should just end already. I think it's like, even thinking about that again makes me want to swear, but it's so disrespectful. Like, because I love One Piece so much and I'm having so much fun with it. So to say it should just end after all the blood, sweat, and tears that Oda has put into that work, I just don't see why it's necessary to say it like that. But it's just a feeling that I have, and them saying that won't make Oda stop writing if he wants to write. So beyond how that was said, I totally understand that it's too long for some people to get invested in. But thank God that Oda keeps writing for as long as he feels like he can, because he creates these expansive worlds. And I'm not just talking about the whole world, that it fits together like a puzzle piece, but also islands, characters, and totally understand. Yes, I also want more focus on the main characters and stuff, but we have a really well-rounded characters. And I don't necessarily think that every story needs to be about personal growth and development. Like most people don't really have these big growth arcs. They stay kind of the same person from 20 to 30 to 40. Maybe some changes when they become parents, but I don't really understand. Not every story has to be character development driven. This is not that kind of story. So people with a different, like, imagine you're the kind of person that really loves shonen and then you try and watch a romance. Like, I struggle with romances very often because I just don't like the themes. That don't mean it's a bad romance. It just means that I can't react to it because it's not entertaining to me. We've had examples, blue box, the flower that blooms. Like, these are very popular shows which I could not get into, but so to me, I guess my final thoughts on this controversial opinion is that how to say, yeah, it's very much what you enjoy, very much preference. Oh, I will do that, Hanku, in 2 minutes. Thank you. Odinoko says, I disagree with all 3 points vehemently. I've only seen people who never started One Piece that say it's too long. No, I've recently seen a lot of people, and okay, not that many, but of quite a few people, and they pretend to be like fans. Oh, I watched it since I was 15. But then they only watched it up to a certain point. And it's like they got bored, which is fine. But I'm really thankful that we've gotten to explore. We've gotten to have so many adventures because that's literally what Luffy told us he was going to do. He was going to become the pirate king, a 1 in a billion person. And that's not an overstatement. The world, how many people are in the world? Wait. World population. 8.3 billion people in the world. He didn't want to become the king of a country. There's tons of those. He wanted to become the one and only pirate king. It was always going to be a long journey. So, I don't know what people expected. A rushed story where, someone sets out on an adventure, beats a few bad guys, and then achieves their dream. Okay, Naruto. But this is a lifetime adventure, and I think there's nothing like it in the world, and for that I love it, because there are 1,000 stories where the protagonist goes out to achieve their dream and does it, but this is just a lifetime journey. And I think because it's a 1 in a billion goal, I think it's amazing that it's Oda has been able to keep the story up for 25 years. So I can only, even if I didn't like it or where it went or how it ends, it doesn't matter. The fact that Oda was able to achieve that as a single person, it's something to be applauded. I swear, he should win a prize. I don't know what prize, but he should win a prize. Studio Ghibli becomes first anime studio to win Spain's prestigious Asturias Award. Nice. Okay, here we are at Mr. Drachenschnado's. Ooh, we have some spoilers. So I'm gonna finish Dark Shadow's thoughts, and then I'm gonna post my short. But let's start with Reze, the Reze arc. If you have not seen the movie Chainsaw Man Reze arc, mute me until I put this down, okay? Because I'll use a different spoiler marker for each opinion. But we're starting with Reze. Mute me until this goes away. I have mentioned this before in a previous question of the week, but I don't really care at all about Reze or the relationship between her and Denji. I think expectations or preconceptions I had before going into the movie play a part, but the movie did feel a bit underwhelming by the end. And although, as an antagonist, she was interesting, the rest of the storyline around her left me bored at times. The animation and action sequences were obviously amazing, and I still have to give the movie a high score, but it's not something that I feel like I would actively want to rewatch. And Reza herself is not a character that would make it anywhere on my favorites list. I wonder if that could be because, they just gave her a movie and it was like introduce her and leave her. I used a cap. Oh, I can put on, I have a hat somewhere. Okay, but just because you mentioned it, I thought of something that I saw earlier today, and I totally understand your feeling because she's very quick and gone. So makes sense. But I just want to read this one thing that I saw, which is very interesting, and it goes beyond, the where is my likes? Where can you see your likes? There used to be a place where you can see your likes. I'm so sorry. It just was saying that the movie did $186 million all over the world, and it changed the trajectory of the studio entirely. And the most important part that I want to mention is that they're going to do less of something by working with someone and also improve the working conditions of the people. That was what I really wanted to get to. So, you enjoyed the movie for what it was. You didn't particularly feel like the character changed your um like she wasn't memorable for you, but even you could appreciate, not even you, sorry, but despite that, you really appreciated the the visuals and her as an antagonist to some extent. And yeah, can you believe that that movie led to potentially changing the industry, at least from one major studio? So cool. Cool how a character that might, they're never really going to come back, but that movie, for I don't know why was it that for some people, for me, I think it was the reason why I could so easily fall in love with her character was because I felt so sad and strong about Denji, and I didn't need to spend a season with her because she just seemed to be a reflection of him, like another Denji. So I could easily feel uh how to say, empathy for her character, and a dream for like what could have been. And like there's a lot of, I guess, a sadness for what her character represents more than her alone, if that makes sense. At least that's it for me. Okay, so opinion on Red. Next up is Fire Force, which I'm quite interested in because I really love the ending, and I feel like maybe you didn't. That's a potential. So for the next one, I will wear this tiara, and for as long as I'm wearing this tiara, you can mute me because I'm going to be talking about Fire Force, most likely the ending. So until I take off this tiara, please mute me. I'm now going to talk about Fire Force. So Dark Shadow says This is a particularly sad one for me since Fire Force was among the first series I started after properly getting into anime 6 to 7 years ago. I immediately loved the concept and the world. However, the ending of the series is probably the most disappointed I have been in recent memory. I have not seen Soul Eater, and although I had heard many years ago that they were part of the same universe, I had largely forgotten about it, so the end was a bit of a slap in the face. In general, I don't like the concept of shared universes for distinct worlds or stories like Fire Force, most because of the world and the mystery behind it. So, having most of that erased to set up Soul Eater was a letdown. Perhaps if the execution of the transition had been better, it wouldn't have been as bad for me, but it felt like the two worlds were just slammed together, and the resulting carnage is the ending we got for Fire Force. That's a difficult one to, I'm trying, as I'm reading everyone's opinions, I'm trying to see it from your perspective. But because I was lucky enough to watch Soul Eater beforehand, I can never really undo the experience and, think of it from a perspective of not knowing about Soul Eater. So it does seem sad though, especially because it's a show that you really liked as you were getting into anime, but at the same time, hmm, mm, I don't know. It's like I loved it so much. I can't imagine what the resolution could have been other than what it was. So it's a really tough one, but I do understand that it did suddenly get very like I'm trying to think about it, but it did suddenly take a it felt like it took a big turn. Like there was always these hints at where it was going, very small if you look back, but it very suddenly in one season it took things to like a so unless you have that context of Soul Eater, I can't imagine what it would have felt like. But I even me, I can see well, yeah, it suddenly got really weird. So, okay. Then for the last one, it's going to be about fate. I guess I will as long as I'm holding this fan in my hand, it will be about fate. Unlimited Blade Works. So, Dark Shadow started with Fate Zero. I started with Unlimited Blade Works. Just for context. This one is have to say stuff. This one is have to say stuff. You have to say stuff. Okay. Dark Shadow's thoughts. I started with Zero and I loved it, so I was excited to continue on to Unlimited Blade Works. It started off strong with the animation being great, but the episodes progressed. As the episodes progressed, I started to like it less and less. I tried many times over the course of both seasons to have faith, but each time I was sorely disappointed by Shiro. He may be among some of my least liked MCs, who needed a series of conveniences to get his story to play out the way that it did. Isn't that every shonen MC? I mean, isn't life a series of conveniences? The fact that we are just far enough away from the sun, but close to not burn, but not so close that we're just close enough to be warm and not burn, but not so far that we freeze. Like many things. Okay, but anyway, he may be among some of my least liked. And detracted from almost every scene involving him. Listening to the circular dialogue of the last few episodes was a real slog, and even a single intelligent thought. If even a single intelligent thought had entered Shiro's head throughout the series, I wouldn't have minded nearly as much. After finishing Unlimited Blade Works, I decided to take a break from the series, as not to bring any lingering negativity into the rest of it. Like me with Code Geass, and then 6 years later, I still haven't seen season 2. That's a very common opinion that Shiro is boring and bad. I think I heard, I think I heard a few of those. No time, but right after Dark Shadow's message, Ray points out my message with a timestamp for Nox's answer in the old question of the week. He said the same. Okay. So, damn. All I can say is that, as Espada mentioned, doesn't seem to be an unpopular opinion. But yeah, my only addition here, as a personal experience, was that I started with Unlimited Blade Works and I loved it, and then Fate Zero was a difficult one for me. I'm shocked, like not only you, but many people started with Fate, and that was like they liked it, and I was like, wow, the soul, Doji says, the stuff I want to say is that Shiro in the anime Fate Unlimited Blade Work is not adapted fully. In fact, the character is fully shown with the 3 roots, but the anime only didn't show all of the fate of the character. So you're saying it's a diluted version of Shiro that, you know, it might still be fine for some people like me, but if it doesn't really give you the full Shiro that exists. There you go, Dark Shadow. If you ever have time, play the light novel. So, one more, and then I'm gonna post my short. So, this is from Ray. Fate is now over. The next one is from Ray. And I keep needing... Okay, when I put Gengar down, I will stop talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. Why do I feel like this did not happen last time? It wasn't so spoilery. Like, it was very general thoughts, or did I just not care about spoilers last time? So, Emilia's lover, Ray, said... Wait, who owns Emilia and Waifu Wars? Because I think that's Emilia's lover. No, I'm joking. That was a little jab at you quitting Waifu Wars just because you didn't get Emilia. I thought the latest season was ass, and I'm not continuing from this point on. I've always had an aversion to Jujutsu Kaisen when it started because of the existence of Gojo, because I thought of him existing loses all stakes of the story. Well, I thought he was cool at first, but when the exam arc happened and Gojo low-diffed 2 of the main villains of the story, I immediately lost interest in continuing. I compare it to My Hero Academia when All Might fought the Nomu in season 1, but in that fight, he didn't really low-diff the Nomu. In fact, he struggled. So I felt the threat of the villains despite the main villains being defeated in the first few arcs. I tried season 2 and I loved the Hidden Inventory arc. In fact, it's my favorite arc in the whole story. It actually fleshed out Gojo and get those characters. Shibuya was cool, and I finally thought Itadori was interesting as a character. Season 3 I really despise, except for the first 2 episodes. I thought Maki was really bad. I really hated how Mai just died, and it was really just a shock value. And I just don't really get the reason of fleshing her character out in season 1 just for her to instantly die. Was she really so fleshed out, though? I just don't really get the reason of fleshing her character out so much in season 1 just for her to instantly die the moment she comes back. They didn't use Mai's character to her fullest potential. It's fine if she dies, but I felt like they should have done more to her character before her death and make that death more compelling. Make that death more compelling instead of being for shock factor. Because a compelling death makes for a more compelling payoff. I cannot read this message in another tone. Because the way that it's coming across is not really sharing opinion, but more like venting, which is fine. But that's why I'm reading it in a venting voice. How do I even start the sentence again? Because where does the sentence begin? Okay, wait. I have to go back and start 2 lines above to read this. It's fine if she dies, but I felt like they should have done more to her character before her death and make that death more compelling instead of just being a shock factor, because a compelling death makes for a compelling payoff, which is the Maki annihilation scene. Another big complaint I have with the season is that it threatens another massive casualties in the arc, and I don't really like it when stories do that shit back to back. There's a reason stories only do that in the finale, or what? There's a reason stories only do that in the finale of a show, or movie, or series, or trilogy, and that's because people get numb from huge amount of death every time. Oh, cause yeah, that's how life works. Traumatizing things only happen at the end of an arc in life. It's not like there are wars happening all day, every day. Like people are being raped right now as we're sitting here. Like trauma only happens a manageable amount of times. And a story dare not approach things in a different way because it is more sane-y. Like, God forbid. Because, you know, Attack on Titan, for example, it only had like a manageable amount of death. But I get it. Yeah, the most amount of death was at the end. Well, to be fair, I don't know how he feels about Attack on Titan, but it's the only example I could think of. As a quote once said, the death of one man is a tragedy, the death of millions is a statistic. That's not what that quote... That's not what that quote means. That's not how you can apply that quote. That is the opposite of... Okay. I said I wasn't going to get worked up, but seriously, I need to think you need to learn to read an essay about the quote that you quoted. Everything else is your opinion, and that's fine. But that quote doesn't mean what you think it means. It's like... I don't know how to describe it. But when thousands of people die in another country, sure, it's just a statistic to you to illustrate how... But that doesn't mean it can't happen in a story. Because, oh, that's uncomfortable for me. That's how we function in real life. But the story breaks that apart. Okay. I dropped my spoiler thing. I can't do the spoiler thing for every comment, especially not if they are like this. This is not someone sharing an opinion. This is someone venting, which is fine, but dear Lord, what a take. Don't use a real life quote about perception to discuss impact in fictional media. Yeah, like it proves your point. Like, this is not how media should handle deaths, because, well, in real life, people are dying all the time and we feel nothing about it. So media shouldn't do that. Media should show us just a little bit of tragedy so that it makes us sad. If too many people die, how will I feel sad? I don't read the news. Look outside your window. You can feel sad. Just because death happens a lot and it numbs us doesn't mean that stories shouldn't address that. I don't even disagree, because death in media can have a numbing effect if it's done too much, but it's so poorly worded. I get it. I get that. But that's when, how to say, Game of Thrones would even be a better example. Like, it's not shocking anymore because everyone keeps dying. You kind of get attached to the characters because everyone keeps dying. And you can say, that's why I don't like it, because I can't get attached to it. But he's criticizing it like it's factually, listen to it. I don't like when stories do that shit back to back. There's a reason why stories only do it in the finale, as if there's a correct way to do it and a worse way to do it. But that's not true. It means I don't like Game of Thrones because there's too much death. That's like saying I don't like Schindler's List because there's too much death. Okay, but that doesn't mean the movie was wrong. It happened. There was a lot of death. And seeing it, I think obviously Schindler's List plays out a bit differently because it's a self-contained movie. But death happens on large scale. Why should a story not deal with it? Why should a story shy away from that? You know what I'm saying? Just for your comfort and so that you can. Oh, that's coming from a person that likes takopi because they just want to see sadness for sadness. They just want to cry for a fictional character. But that shit happens out in the world so much, and you numb yourself literally from that to cry for someone that doesn't exist. But it's right out there. Oh, but no, but I can't do anything about that. I can't feel anything about that because there's too many. So let me just numb myself, actually, from the real world by watching fictional characters individually go through a lot of pain. As long as it's one at a time, because otherwise I can't deal. I'm never doing this controversial thing again. I forgot how much I hate it. Joan is next, and I don't care about spoilers anymore. You either mute me when you think you should mute me, or you don't. My hot take is more so a sentiment I've seen than directed at a specific anime, and that's the anime fandom overrates darker, cynical, heavy themed stories so much to the point it's annoying, while also underrating the more positive and some even called basic ones just to elevate the former ones. Like, something can't be good unless it's edgy or dark or traumatizing. Uplifting motivation and positive stories like My Hero Academia, One Piece, Demon Slayer, Dragon Ball, Mob 100, they're looked down on, belittled by some, and overlooked by the fandom in favor of darker things like Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, Cyberpunk. To the point if you openly enjoy the positive ones, you're called basic, normie, etc. Thankfully, I have not experienced that with the exception of Demon Slayer. People really like to hate on Demon Slayer in my experience. I'm all for diversity in stories. Chainsaw Man is one of my favorites. But I think that sometimes people put those stories in such a excessively high regard while trashing the positive ones because they're cliche or basic. Positive stories matter as much, if not more, right now in the world. Anime like One Piece and Dragon Ball are often cited as one of the biggest motivation and inspiration for artists, writers, and athletes, and fighters, and there's a good reason behind it. I think it sometimes come down to that people are very cynical in life and they've given up on maybe some of their own hopes and dreams, and so they can resonate stronger with something darker, I guess, maybe. But thankfully, I haven't come across a lot of those people, with the exception of Demon Slayer haters that hate the story for being simple, like it's not complex enough. And I'm like, I guess they want Michael Jackson to have like a sorry, what's his name? The Michael Jackson of Demon Slayer. They want him to have a really sad backstory or something to be able to, so that they can pretend to have complex ways of thinking. Welcome back! Cheers! How was your trip? Happy birthday! Wow, thank you so much! What a way to break the tension, because it has been heavy. How was your trip? Okay, I'm gonna take a 5-minute pause here Thank you to Joan for your thoughts. I'm gonna post my One Piece comparison video, and I'm gonna ask Modru how was his trip. And then once I've refocused, I'll be back. Next up is Black Blade. He says it's a spoiler for anyone that hasn't seen One Piece to the current Jujutsu Kaisen. Nothing spoilery for you. For me. I don't have much of a long answer, but in my opinion, One Piece ended the greatness at the time skip. Very common opinion, it seems. After that, the anime stopped being really story driven when you can get invested in the characters. Like Arabasta, Drum Island, and Longland. After Fishman Island, the show became flashy, strobe light effects. Yeah, but that's the anime. That's a Toei problem, not really a One Piece problem for me. Drag style animation showing movement by distorting forms like Pain versus Naruto, and less about what's going on the Cake Island was meh. Wano was forgettable. I will admit the Kuma Bonnie story was great, but it was a tiny glimpse of what One Piece used to be. Okay. Jujutsu Kaisen is another sore spot for me. Season 1 and Season 2 were absolutely amazing. Todo and Itadori versus Hanami. I wanted to be with Todo. Itadori and Nobura versus the Blood Brothers, same thing. You were on the edge the whole fight, and the quality was so good, but at the end of Season 2, Sukuna versus the Shadow God, it went to the Flash MS Paint style, and it felt cheap. This continued into Season 3. Some scenes are great, but then you get these potato quality scenes to save animation time. I would consider this an AAA anime with a huge fan base, and this drop in quality is when you watch Witch Hat and it drops to 480p. Pulls me out of the moment horribly. Third hot take, JoJo's will always suck. Any anime that says you need to wait until part 4 until it gets good is a crap anime. I love JoJo's from the very beginning. Personally, I don't understand why anyone would say wait until part 4. It's fantastic from the get-go, personally. I even recently reread part 1 and I thought it was amazing. I literally got depressed at one point because, to be fair, I was kind of depressed anyway. No, I'm joking. No, but I got depressed at one point because Dio is such a freaking psychopath and I was feeling so sorry for Jonathan. It's not even funny. Like I felt so trapped. Like he must have felt trapped. Like imagine having someone in your life like that. Whew. Shota says, I didn't like part 4, but I loved every other part. Darkshita says, part 2 is still my favorite. Who says wait until part 4? What even was part 4? Isn't part 4 like the worst part? I'm joking. I'm just thinking about that Kenichi or whatever his name was. Kildaho. I think the start of JoJo's is the best. I think I'm thinking of part 5. No, part 4 was waffle hair? That's the worst part. A lot of people because of Kira. So funny though. That's interesting, but no, I like part 4 the least. I always think Black Blade's dislike for JoJo's is hilarious. To me it seems like based on both comments, if I'm reading your thoughts, it seems more about animation than anything else. Which I'm trying to understand. Using the 480p analogy is really effective, but I have seen so many different anime with so many different styles. I mean, I enjoyed Ping Pong the animation, so I really cannot put myself in the shoes of someone that I guess I can. I mean, I didn't like huge parts of One Piece because of the style. Like, it just didn't feel like One Piece to me. Thankfully, it didn't bother me because, well, eventually I read the manga and that's my main experience now. And the new arc has been good for 6 out of 7 episodes. But yeah, the thoughts on One Piece was, it seemed like, I don't like One Piece, talks a lot about visuals, and then the story is not as good as it used to be. But it doesn't feel like that was what the majority of the comments were about, but cool. It's not an unpopular opinion. I don't think it's, to me, once again, I'll say it for the 10th time in this video and the last one, it seems like some people just don't like long shonen, and I do, and others do, thankfully. But yeah, it was already addressed, so I guess points towards previous discussion. And then Jujutsu Kaisen can't really, definitely not a popular opinion, so check. Mm, but yeah, taste wise, I can understand not liking it. But I mean, if I can watch Ping Pong the animation, I'm just, okay, don't like the style, and it bothers you so much that you compare it to the quality, the actual quality dipping to 480p. Oh, just for jokes, I want to show you the. It's not even the animation, it's just the style is very. It's not very pleasant, but it's stylistic, it's interesting, it's unique. It's very Mob Psycho-ish. It's very. I really don't know, but it never, except for maybe the first 5 minutes, it didn't detract from the characters, the story. I don't know. I can't. But cool. Let's. You know what I want to check? Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3 visuals. I want to see a Reddit post where someone doesn't like the visuals and explains to me more. Like what don't you like? um, it's a drastically refined, moody visual style, moving away from the frantic cuts of previous arcs. Mappa has embraced a cinematic, atmospheric aesthetic. The artwork features 3D depth blended with hand-drawn art, analog 35mm, film texturing, and deep color-graded palettes to reflect the dark and exhausting reality of the tournament. When a shonen goes cinematic, there is a video on Annie Essays about it, but I really want to hear or read about like someone that understands, like a neutral person that understands cinematics and animation and stuff. Will be interesting. Espada says the reason why I dropped One Piece over 7 to 10 years ago was due to expectation. I think you talked to me about that, didn't you? Like you were expecting it to be like Bleach, or like more gritty or cool than adventure and, or what was it again? Okay, Sotos. I don't think I have a long answer, but it's definitely controversial. First, I think that Code Geass is boring. It's probably the only anime I dropped at season 1 in the 18 years as an anime fan. And One Piece frame impacts are freaking ugly and ruined everything. People call it peak. It's crazy and, in my opinion, disgusting. with a like a This is your exact controversial opinion from 4 years ago. Get a new one. Okay, here's Odinoko. One of the reasons I dislike power leveling and fan made fighting scenarios, like who would win, so much because in the story, the framing of the battle is just as important, if not more, than the battle itself. The author went to great lengths to establish our heroes, their motivations, their philosophy, and then to give us the antagonists and villains, people who oppose them in ways that transcend the physical. So when Aang is fighting Ozai, it's not just about the Avatar fighting a spoiled rich guy. It's the ultimate confrontation between the lost symbol of hope and balance for humanity and the corrupt product of egotism and perversion that plagues human nature. Aang doesn't want to kill him because he knows that. Similarly, Zuko versus Azula isn't just who's the best firebender, it's the distillation of spiritual learning against violently applied discipline. That is why bitter work is an important episode to learn to redirect lightning, to learn to redirect. Lightning, it wasn't enough to go through the motions. I don't understand lightning. Zuko had to understand the principle of unity that Iro wanted to teach him. I'll use Avatar as an example, but this is a prevalent theme throughout media, especially shonen. It's perhaps the most important part of media that a showdown is never just about the two characters who are fighting. Yes, so true. It's never so fucking simple and boring. Ugh, if they want stuff like that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. If you want something so simple as like, ooh, who can lift the highest? Who can lift the most? Go to the gym. I don't know. That's the only place where it's literally just about how strong you are, how much you can lift. But even then, there would be nuance. Like actually, there's this video that I recently saw on Instagram. Please, I'm gonna find it. I couldn't find the Twitter thing, but I'm gonna find the Instagram thing because I know where to find my likes on freaking Instagram. Your activity, likes, here. I don't know if this is gonna have copyright issues, so let me show it with no sound or soft sound. Ah, he would need to pull off a phenomenon. Can you guys see? Do you know who this is? So, anyway, I was joking, but even something as simple as lifting is not just about just physical strength. You know what I'm trying to say? There's so much more to it. Anyway, so when Goku finally defeats Frieza with the help of his friends, or when Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi manage to win against Kaguya, I'm greatly annoyed by people asking, what if the fight was one-on-one? It wasn't, and that's the point. Anyway, I know it's kind of been a roundabout way of saying it, but I guess the whole point is I hate the power scaling. Yeah, though that whole culture, it's not a fun thing to be a part of, but I also understand, like, I guess why it's important. Like, it can be light and interesting and funny, but people take it so seriously. If the people didn't take it so seriously, it would be more like, haha, yeah, interesting. But man, it can be very toxic. For One Piece, I was expecting them to show more fighting, such as when they talked about Akainu versus Aokiji, but they always off-screen other people fighting as long as it's not the Straw Hats. But I've learned and accepted that the fights in One Piece is secondary and the story is the main focus. Very mature of you. For someone who thinks that pink hair is gay. I mean, sorry, flamboyant. I saw a take last time about someone preventing any author to don't specify any numbers in the story. Yeah, because they know that people talking about power scaling and arguing about it is one of the driving forces of conversation. So it's like it might be good for the content, but it can backfire, I think. So Power Scalia beats all your favorite shonen characters. Power Scalia, fight me! I'm so powerful, I can destroy the universe. My fans say I'm multiversal, although they don't know what that means. Big Bang Meta Universe Kamehameha! Immune to everything. Beam that destroys all universes at once. That's hilarious because that's literally what people do in these conversations. They make up whatever the fuck they want to show that, oh yes, the one that I think's wins. They just pull everything out of their ass. It's the same reason why I never wanted to talk even about someone like Aaron, because it boils down to the same thing. They would make up whatever they want just to be like, no, Aaron was right. But he could have, no, because then if he did that, this and this and this would happen, obviously, and then, so he couldn't do that, so you're wrong. And I'm like, okay. You can make up whatever you want. Nyader says, my controversial opinion is that I'm tired of the perfect hero like Tanjiro or Gojo. Tell me you don't understand Gojo's character without telling me you don't understand Gojo's character. And what do you mean Tanjiro's perfect? What do you mean? What do you mean? Okay, they used Jujutsu Kaisen as an next spoiler. Gojo was trying not to hurt other people, and because of that, he was trapped. We know what happened after and how many people killed because of that. I think if he uses power and hurt some people, a lot more will survive. I want more heroes who can do bad things. There were tons of them! His whole character, he can destroy everything and everyone whenever he wants. If he just starts doing that willy-nilly, you don't even know what would happen. There were so many of those heroes out there. What the fuck? What? Tired of the perfect hero. I'm tired of shonen. So then watch something else. If there wasn't anti-heroes galore, I would understand that. I don't understand that because there are anti-heroes freaking lore. And Gojo's character would make no sense if he just abused his power, which is like literally that's the whole point of his character. He's like, he can destroy everything and everyone, but he chooses not to. Tell me you didn't read without telling me you didn't read. So, sacrifice a few to save many others. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like there's a lot of anime fans who disagree with you. Though, check Kayla's thoughts. Every Attack on Titan and One Piece episode. It's not about the sacrifice. I want to see how the hero will deal with the fact that he killed people. Maybe he gets depressed or he likes it. I want to feel like when the villains are smart and trap the hero. He need to make hard decisions and not only get stronger and win. Gojo doesn't win. He's trapped. What more do you want? He's like saying, I want this, but then it happens and then I don't like it. There are many series where that happens. It's literally the backstory of every other fucking villain. They abuse their power and they go insane and they start justifying worse and worse things for the greater good. It's like literally every freaking villain's backstory. You start justifying killing a few people to save many and you go insane because we are not meant to decide whose lives are worth it and whose lives aren't. Do you even like how many? I hate this topic so much. I hate this topic so much. I will not, I will regret. I still feel somewhat unsure of what would be most controversial or unpopular as an opinion. This is from Tiago. Having watched a lot of popular shows that I don't like, so I'll just throw something I haven't heard out there. Thank you. Thank God. Full dive VR gaming anime is not isekai if I don't see reincarnation or transmigration or transporting the body to another world. I'm not counting it as isekai, especially if the body or mind or soul is still in the same world. I'm not buying the reasoning that a full VR game emulates the experience of another world when it's really just sense rending with electronics. Besides, that is a reverse isekai if you can't take a game character out of its so-called world. Then the isekai tag was irrelevant to begin with in my eyes. For reverse isekai, Recreators is the best example I can think of. I can't read that because I haven't seen Recreators. Excuse me. Besides, I've seen people call a series an isekai just for having reincarnation, as they're ignoring the fact that the MC reincarnates in the same world. Whoa, like what? Title name. I was reincarnated as the seventh prince. I already don't give the general public's or marketed idea of an isekai any credit as it is. Just feels like the louder group wants to either dilute the isekai subgenre out of laziness or turn it into a synonym for fantasy with gimmicks. I'm fine with examples like Overlord and How Not to Summon a Demon Lord, since those are examples of a world that happens to reflect the game the MC played and doesn't have the indication of game mods working on that said world. Shield Hero is kind of in the same vein, where Naofumi was isekai'd by a book while the other three of the four heroes played a game that resembled the world they're presently in. Isekai. I mean, the experience of VR is to emulate an isekai, but is it an isekai? Like, are you actually in a different world? No. So I get that opinion. Have I ever thought about this deeply? No. More than that, I think most isekai has the Dragon Quest setup. Next one is the one that you want to avoid. Yes, I already responded to that one. And it's the one that he wasn't really sharing his opinion. It was because whenever someone responded, he would use that as a means to reaffirm his conviction. It's actually a conviction and not an opinion, and I don't think it's really interesting to talk to someone like that. So, yeah. To summarize, because it does feel rude to completely ignore, but basically, but it feels more rude to summarize someone else's opinion, so I won't. Join the Discord if you want to read it. From what I've seen, oh no, that's still about that, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything else? Any other comments? That's it? That took me an hour. Hmm. Okay, let's look at the old video. Do you have a link for that? You haven't shared mine? I forgot to think of one. My controversial opinion is that majority of people don't really think about their opinions. Like they feel something and then like saying there should be more, sorry to put the specific comment on blast, but basically saying I want more anti-heroes, the other ones are boring, when there are like hundreds of anti-heroes in media. Every freaking villain shows you what happens to heroes who do bad things. Like, do you at all like critically think about what you, or do you just like, I have a feeling there, it's out in the world? It's frustrating to me, and there's no reason for anyone to have to think about things, and because it's exhausting. It's exhausting to, like, I question everything that I think and do and say, and then, like, even if someone says something terribly rude about me, for a moment, I put myself in their shoes and I'm like, wait, are they right? And it's exhausting. I get it. But, dear Lord, I just think that people should think a little bit more. And maybe, I don't know. Because I just feel like it's very important to me when I'm typing something. It took me 30 minutes. I'm not saying I'm so good at this, but it took me 30 minutes earlier to type 2 paragraphs because I was considering what I was writing. And I think that people don't do that enough. I think that if you are typing something online, you have time to read back what you said. And I don't think people do that. And then they get mad when people interpret it, oh, well, that's not what I meant, or, but that's what you said. So, I don't know, but it took me 30 minutes to write, okay, it's not 2 paragraphs, but if you squash those 2 together, and even then, it'll never be good enough. A conversation is ongoing. And it will always be interpreted differently by the one reading. So I'm not saying, oh, I did so much better because I spent time writing this. But at least I tried. And I'm always willing, as long as people are asking questions instead of like telling, but they can be like, okay, why did you say that? What did you mean by that? I'm always willing to have a conversation. But I feel like that's my controversial opinion. It's just that people online need to think for 1 minute before they send everything that they put. And this counts for Instagram too. Like everything that people just put online. And that actually, just in life in general, think before you act, think before you speak. And that is actually terrible coming from me because it's very difficult for me to do that when I'm live. So, but that's why I'm emphasizing online, because you have time. You have the benefit of the buffer. Your controversial opinion is any video where Eren or Vegeta are mentioned. I was gonna say my controversial opinion is that Hunter x Hunter is only an 8 out of 10 and not a 10 out of 10. But I think that one I've mentioned too many times. But yes, Eren and Vegeta. An anti-hero, a hero can end up a villain. A hero can often turn into an anti-hero, can turn into a villain. Like, look at Silco. There's what you want. He had difficult decisions, him and Vander. It ended up shit for both of them. Maybe if they had worked together, things would have been a bit different. But the media is full of those kinds of things. Someone who started out with a good intention, and then it fucked up. Aaron is an example of that. Although he was a pretty wild one in retrospect. This is why I always answer the day of the video. I spend the days leading up to it trying to gather my thoughts. Yeah, you wrote some. And what I like about yours is that you don't shit on the show either. You clearly it missed the mark for you. Okay, well, you shit a little bit on the MC of Emiya Shiro. But even then you were like, it was the nicest shit. It was the but yeah, I really can't speak because I have an aggressive way of speaking, but that's why I just emphasize online, because I don't have the grace, the buffer, I mean, to when I read my brain answers. Imagine if I had to like sit for 5 minutes, and I wish I could have recorded me typing this. It takes so long because I'm typing, I'm reading it, my neck hurts, I'm deleting it, I'm copying it, pasting it so that I don't lose it, and then I try and reword it, and then I look at what I said, and I'm like, did I okay, and then delete that part. I'm not saying it should take people that much time though, but yeah, half the things I say in real life, and that's me, I'm like, you didn't need to say that. You could have just stayed quiet. Sometimes not saying something is just as good, but I'm just joking. I really appreciate everyone's comments. Some of them just seem like I don't know. I shouldn't complain about people replying to my question that I asked them. I apologize. Okay, wait. Here's the comment. Here's the video. Bleach. I want to think about when did I have my most interesting discussions. Like Attack on Titan was a time where I had the most interesting but also the most frustrating discussions. Sadly, the frustrating ones were a bit more common, so they influenced the interesting ones. But I do think that as much as I value discussion, it's been a very difficult thing to learn that not all discussions are equal. Not everyone's thoughts are thoughtful. And even though that's okay, even though that's fine, I'm not going to get any less worked up about it. Oh, wait, I don't know why I had this in my ears. 58 minutes for Tiago's answer. What? Tiago, 58 minutes? What about Soto's? I would prefer to watch Yu Yu Hakusho. I think One Piece is better than Bleach, and Bleach is better than Naruto. I can see the Naruto fanbase up in arms. One Piece is better than Bleach, and Bleach is better than... over this opinion, as far as the big three at time are concerned. Then there's a Tokyo Revengers one comment. Can I read the Tokyo Revengers comment? Oh, this is Tiago's opinion about Yu Yu Hakusho, and I thought you were asking where you got most upset. Oh no! I don't want to get upset on being upset. I don't want to get upset at my past self being upset. No, I just want to have the video. Soto's answer was the first one you said. Use the word upsets. Unpopular. If anyone wants to add unpopular opinions in the chat now, here or in the thread preferably, you can do so. Now I'm gonna read through all of it. Or at least I'm going
I
to
like my
read
makeup.
through everything that won't spoil me. So if it's about a show that I haven't watched,
my lighting used to be better, but I don't know how I did that. Or my hair was just blonde, so I think it looked...
read that. But your finger, just have it on the mute button, because what if I'm going to read through all the shows...
Blah, 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 blah.
Actually controversial, but... Dark Shadow says, yeah, I'm not sure if mine were actually controversial, but unpopular is fine as well. My reply won't spoil you, by the way. We have watched the same season. Okay, so let us start with
I just want to hear Sotos.
Message from Sotos, and it's about Code Geass. Or Geass? Yes. Please mute me. I'm not going to say every time, please mute me. So once you hear the anime name, I'll give it like a few seconds. So just make sure you mute.
Okay.
Next question.
Oh, my hat.
Hat. Okay.
No, I probably did not remember to take off the hat every time.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have a smaller hat.
I don't have a smaller hat. I did. I found a smaller hat.
Okay.
Oh, Lord, no. Please put the chopper hat back.
This is my smaller hat. Method it. Anime I've ever seen.
Oh no, why did I should have kept this.
I prefer Neon Genesis Evangelion 100 times.
Wait, did I finish Sotos's comment?
My controversial opinion on Code Geass would,
Geass,
which is why I omitted it. With what? The most boring anime I've ever seen. Bad MC and super boring robots. I prefer Neon Genesis Evangelion 100 times better. I almost killed myself and dropped it in season 1.
Wait, did Soto say he likes Neon Genesis Evangelion more than Code Geass? I honestly cannot fathom Soto's watching NGE for some reason.
Wow, that is crazy.
Yeah, we started off strong.
Great start to a awesome video that I think will be very, like, I hope that I wanted to say this before we started, but I guess I'm gonna say it now. So I'm not talking about Code Geass now. I will get to it, but I wanted to say, if an opinion triggers you,
nope,
please try and ignore it. You are welcome.
Nope.
Come to share a counter argument, but remember that these are unpopular opinions for a reason. These are based on people's feelings. So don't get triggered. I do it myself. If I feel like I can't respond to this person without being rude to them because it's like...
But listen.
Your answer annoys me, and that's fine. But then ignore them.
I can't ignore them. I'm here to talk about it. It's in the video. I was talking about it in real life. If I read someone's comment, like on Twitter or something, I don't reply to them. But this is my video. I have to talk about it. I can't walk away.
Okay, someone was like, you're being really annoying, and I just ignored them. I acted like they weren't there. Okay?
In the live stream, I still do that sometimes though. When someone is here, when did it happen recently? Oh, there was someone in my live stream on YouTube, and they were asking me to look at their art or something, fan fiction, I don't know. And I was busy. I was playing a game, and they asked me to stop playing my game. Like, it happened twice now. The second time it happened, some random popped in, and they were like, hey, bestie, what's up, bestie? You're so cute, bestie. 5 minutes later, so I have this art. Can you review it for me? Can you please show it in the video? I'm busy playing a game. This is a random person I don't know. So I just ignored them. And then the first person I think I ignored, and they were like, why are you ignoring me? And I'm like, so that I don't call you an effing idiot. Because that would be rude. I'm ignoring you for your own good.
You're welcome to share a different opinion, but don't make it personal. Don't insult people. Don't be like you're dumb or you're clearly not understanding, and like just say I feel differently. This is how I feel. Okay? Cool. Now, Code Geass. So Soto said it's a boring anime.
It's very difficult though to not say how you feel about people's opinions when they're very aggressive about One Piece should have ended.
I mean, that's clearly you shouldn't take my response seriously because you rage baited me, and if I respond in the rage, don't take it personally. Okay, here are some of the other unpopular opinions from 4 years ago. Oh, it was 4 years ago. That's not so long ago. I'm not doing this every 4 years. I might do it every 10 years. Maybe. Or never again. Death Note's mellow / near arc is really good, and the ending is well executed both in anime and manga. I enjoyed it. I don't remember that I disliked it. Hanku disliked it. But Hanku has trouble with anime in general. Mika's one of the most overrated characters I've seen. The first season of Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen are carried by the animation. You can root for the villains or like them more than the heroes simply because they're cool or have good writing, even if they're the bad ones. Root for the villains? Hi, Yanda. I stopped watching Death Note and never picked it back up. It's not as engaging after a certain point to some, and I can understand that, but I remember enjoying it. But it's been a long time. The last one is like weird to me because I don't think anyone ever really said you can't like villains, you can't root for villains. Like, of course you can. No one needs to root with you. No one needs to root, like, because that's always my main fucking issue because I don't like villains. And then people expect me to. Oh, think about their sad backstory. Fuck their sad backstory. I hate their sad backstory. Their sad backstory is not justification to perpetuate that sadness and pain and trauma onto others. So that's always been my issue. But yeah, I don't think anyone has ever said like you're not allowed to like villains. I like villains after after the arc where they are the focus, but giving one's honest opinion, regardless of whether it will be well received, is a sign that you're a free thinker. It shows you've got fortitude in the realm of ideas. That's not to say one should reject all critique of their opinions, as it's impossible to know everything or be correct all the time. I, for one, would love to see a villain with a happy backstory. My ex in high school. He had a wonderful childhood and wonderful parents and wonderful siblings, and he turned out to be a dipshit. What happened there, huh? Some people are just bad people. I'm kidding. Espada. Wow. So I guess we have controversial opinions on both ends. Also, I don't see how Jujutsu Kaisen is a bootleg Hunter x Hunter. Jujutsu Kaisen is a bootleg Bleach. There are so many similarities, and even the author has said he took much inspiration from Bleach. Espada, your comment it did show up. I just didn't get to it yet. Dragon Ball Super is actually not as bad as some people say. I did not know people think it was bad. I did not know jack shit about anything that was Dragon Ball related at the time. How do you feel about Dragon Ball Super? Let me know in the comments. Cheyenne, not an anime spoiler. The Attack on Titan manga is ugly even in the later years. There's at least 3 to 5 pairs of characters I struggle to distinguish between consistently. Mostly minor characters though. The action is muddy and the facial expressions take me out of the story. Interesting. I did read the first few chapters of the manga. I do remember thinking that it isn't the best, but once again, for me, the most important part is the story. So you know, some days I wonder, like, sometimes I'm like, I'm getting better at dealing with people online. And then other times I'm like, I think I got worse. I dropped the Attack on Titan manga because of that. And the being monthly did not help. Hanku dropped it. Or at least he stopped recording himself. That sounds so creepy the way you put that. You mean his reactions? He did not continue. He did not finish. Al is just your typical smart, quirky character. Attack on Titan got carried by its animation. The heavy story plots could have been delivered in a much better way. And its characters are not strong. Irvin was great though. The Chimera Ant arc in Hunter x Hunter is far from being the best shonen arc. It's too long. The narrator and the show and the slow motion made it boring. It has a few cool moments, but they're buried in many unnecessary things. It made me hate it. York New City Supremacy. Whoop whoop. Bleach has the best anime OST ever. I don't think that's a controversial opinion at all. Naruto anime is more enjoyable to watch than One Piece, but One Piece is better series overall. One Piece is pretty damn boring. First and second Sword Art Online sucks. I will forever hate them for fooling me into thinking it was the best anime ever. The rewrites don't make up for it. It feels like band-aids on bullet holes. I will forever hate them for fooling me into thinking it was the best anime ever. What happened? When did it stop being the best anime ever? Why? Who lifted the veils off of your eyes? I said, I'm lucky I didn't go into it with those high expectations. And then he replied, I was a meathead. Extremely edgy. I don't understand complex shit. So this type of show is perfect escapism beside my OG Xbox. I don't hate Sakura from Naruto. Dragon Ball Super is shit. Not a fan. Love Dragon Ball and Z. Read the manga. Super made Goku completely unlikable. Way worse than he was in Z. And I watched the Japanese version as well, so I know his personality. The powers were inconsistent with the older content. The Tournament of Power felt like a joke the entire time. I should not have. Why did you not warn me? Booty! But it's okay, I've heard that name before. I don't think it's the first time. But the first time I heard it, and it was recent, it was on, I think it was a YouTuber's. Here's one of my biggest hates about YouTube. Oh, you never read the comments. Here's one of my biggest gripes about YouTube. If I go to my analytics, I want to analyze my channel. And I go to audience. One of my most hated things is that there's two big squares that I can't remove that says channels your audience watches and what your audience watches. It shows me specific videos, which includes, obviously, other Dragon Ball Super reactions. And it's frustrating for two reasons. Number one, they show you the numbers, so you always like compare yourself, even though you don't mean to. Number two, spoilers, titles, thumbnails. I don't understand why I need to know what my audience watches on other channels. If I want to, can there be a separate tab for it? Like other channels that your audience, but this is my audience on my channel. I want to know which videos on my channel are they liking versus what are they not liking. I don't really like compare your channel to these other channels and ugh. Anyway, so that's where I saw maybe a couple of weeks ago a word that I didn't think much of, but now I saw a comment that mentioned the same word and I'm trying to think about it less and less. But Once you see something twice, now it sticks in your head, you know? The sub versus dub thing always gets me. I don't think subs actually realize what it means to translate one language into another. And that you can't translate things word for word. Something like slang and cultural references don't really translate well, and that's why fan subs were often great, because they added that context for if you wanted to know, but they didn't change things to the point where it was unrecognizable like freaking jelly donuts. Despite Okay, wait. After some time, you start to pick up a lot of words and notice that not everything is being translated, or some things are being translated differently. Despite this, many will defend these practices. I find it lazy. I believe dub works a lot harder. Not just translating the script, but also changing it again for the words to fit the character's mouth movements. They do. Still trying to keep the original meaning. They have to do this, otherwise we'll end up with those old dubs where the words and mouth aren't syncing up and throwing everything off. There's a reply. Wrong. Shonen is mostly not that impressive, at least not for me anymore, due to its finite complexity in terms of storytelling, character crafting and depth, plot, and many more. This is someone who is 19 years old and started smoking and think they know everything about the world. Most shonen, and why did I like this comment? What, is that an accident? Most shonen anime and manga are not as deep and complex as they're thought or made to be. Like what? They're aimed at young boys after all, which makes sense that things and characters feel similar or comparable to some degree. Depends on the studio. Some dubbers focus on fitting lip movement, others on meaning, others in their own fanfic version of the story they want to replace. Right, DBZ? I really hate Bakugo because he bullies Deku and he doesn't apologize. And the other classmates didn't help Deku. Continue to allow Bakugo to verbal attack him. That was a common opinion. Someone replied, I don't think he ever bullied him since he got to high school. He tried, but everyone else bullied him harder. About the One Piece, I agree that the anime's pacing is jarring. But, like Katie said, the story, characters, and voice acting make up for it. I disagree with both of you about the OST. I think it's phenomenal. It might not be as iconic as Naruto, but here's the thing. Naruto's OST sadness and sorrow, which used to make me cry, makes me laugh now. It's overexposed. It's lost its hold on me. One Piece has a great OST, but maybe it's just my taste. I think what I didn't like about One Piece, maybe I didn't have the correct terminology, but the sound effects are just sometimes like the lava vein on Doflamingo's forehead. Naruto is the same as One Piece. Attack on Titan is better than Code Geass. Okay, last one. Let's finish off with this one. Starlight Dragon Slayer. In Shonen Jump, Naruto and Sasuke were more annoying than Sakura, but fans overlooked/ignored it only because they were powerful. Almost every single anime is misogynistic. That's a wild claim. Almost every single anime are misogynistic or perpetrate misogynistic traits. Creating female characters to be used simply or overuse them just for fan service makes the female characters over aggressive or sensitive. Like Goku being topless is not also girls are just naturally more beautiful than men and more vulnerable. So virtue signalers likes complaining when women are allowed to be beautiful in anime and then appreciated by characters and viewers. But yeah, I don't see a problem with that. Creating female characters to be used simply or overuse them just for fan service, making the female characters over aggressive or sensitive. Do you have a problem with over aggressive women? Do you have a problem with over aggressive women? I'm joking. Make the male characters always surpass them or more talented. Oh, Hanku, let's race. Let's see which of us is faster. They're talking about shonen. That's very much physical. I'm sorry that history at the time had only shown us hundreds of sports where women could only beat men in like one, which was archery. Maybe watch an archery anime. No, I'm just joking at this point. I'm getting tired. Making strong women single because a strong woman cannot have a boyfriend or husband or companion. Like Tsunade. Who? Tsunade is single and that's a problem. If she wasn't single, that would be a problem to this person. I'm trying to understand how Tsunade being single is misogynistic. She's an independent woman. She don't need no man. But now it's a problem that she doesn't have a man. Okay. Swell. Sorry, can I change the freaking register of my voice? I speak from my throat. If I could only speak from my stomach, I think I could actually listen to myself. Because I have a trouble with listening to myself later because it's like, I don't know how you guys do it. Here's another one from the same person. It's still the same comment. One Piece, I absolutely love it, but I feel it started as a Luffy and his crew and slowly became Luffy, and that's it. Oh my god, too much focus on the main character. Ugh, how could they? It's perfectly fine, it's just that after a while it becomes repetitive. I have to rewatch, so this opinion may change with time. Fillers are both bad and good. Some are enjoyable, while others feel detached from the show. Naruto, the manga is way better. The anime does have incredible animation, but they ruin certain things, especially Sakura, with their biased opinions, and her hate is completely justified. Wait, with their biased opinions and her hate is completely unjustified, so hate against her. If you've read the manga, these are just my opinions. Please don't hate me. Okay, what do you guys think? For those of you that are still around, what do you guys think was the most funny triggered? The opinion that triggered me the most? I think it was definitely One Piece should just end already. And how dare Luffy grow and become someone worthy of becoming the Pirate King? He should have just stayed and become the Pirate King. He changed too much. He's not the Luffy, the small town kid that I was comfortable with. Of today, the One Piece one was the funniest. I think Ray. I think that what got me with Ray's comment wasn't so much what he said, but how he said it, because he was clearly venting, and having to read someone venting makes you worked up. So like, it's like,
how I get with when I'm watching a reaction. As a reactor, you wear your heart on your sleeve, like you let your emotions show on your face. Otherwise, you're just sitting there feeling things in quiet intensity. Like I want my videos to be transformative, so I express myself as I'm watching. Otherwise, it's just some person watching a show. So yeah, I feel like I definitely am an emotional person. I'm a reactive person because that's kind of my job. So when I watch an anime, it's not a problem because the characters are fictional. People still take it personally when they react, when they resonate with the character that I'm talking about. But it's not actually a problem because I'm just reacting to a fictional world with fictional problems with fictional characters. I'm not going to hurt anyone's feelings unless they take personal offense. When it comes to reading people's opinions and getting worked up, it's a real person, so I should be careful. But at the end of the day, I do appreciate all the comments that were written. Do I think some of them could have been worded better? Yes. But I also believe that I could have worded my responses better. But like I said, I don't have the buffer that I need. But that's, at the end of the day, an excuse. But I feel like if I were more mature, like if I were more able to control, like it's a very difficult balance for me. I don't understand how am I supposed to like manage my emotions, but then also be a reactor. Because if I manage my emotions too well, I feel like my reactions would be really boring. And it's very difficult to switch. Like, okay, now manage your reactions well. Now let the emotions fly. Manage it well. Let the emotions fly. Like, I can't, it's difficult to find a middle ground. So, but I can't wait to rewatch to see what happened with Ray's comment. Espada still has the king of rage bait crown, and it's funnier that he isn't rage baiting. Oh shoot, yeah, rolls. Okay, well, I'm going to end the stream and the video after my rolls. You can DM me something. Do you want me to read it out loud or afterwards? Can I just, for everyone that's here, I will have to make a proper post, but I might need to take my mom home tomorrow or Tuesday, and I'm used to having 2 days off after 3 streams. So I'm not really sure how Mondays are gonna work because I stream Friday, Saturday, Sunday now. I used to stream for the last 2 months or something. I used to stream Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 2 days off. And then I switched back to Friday, Saturday, Sunday and record on a Monday. And I'm like really exhausted after a weekend of 3 streams. So for this week, I'm most likely going to be recording Dragon Ball Super on Wednesday and also Witch Hat on Wednesday. I hope I can do it differently next time, but I don't know because I'm exhausted. I don't see myself waking up tomorrow, going for a walk, coming back, and I want to feel at 100% when I react, especially for Super. Like I cannot be in a bad mood with Super. Like I feel like I'm gonna say things that I'm gonna regret if I watch Super in with 70% battery, you know? In my first stream, like on Friday, I start with like 90% battery, and then I have for a Saturday. Honestly, yesterday was not too draining. I had so much fun with Pokemon. Uh the only thing that drained me was the fact that my posture is not good, so I feel like stiff. And that today led to my headache, which made today more difficult. Plus, it was Arcane, which is heavily, emotional. Plus, I had to stop the stream,
One Piece, come back for the stream with the head, but then my headache was, I had to take Panado, and then it was controversial freaking opinions, and it was all over the place. So today was super fun, but I just feel like I need to recharge. So you are years late for DBS. It doesn't change if you do it Monday or Wednesday. I just feel bad because people are really disappointed that I can't do it live anymore. And they're recommending Discord live streams. But I don't really know how I feel about that. Like a live that's not really live. I don't know. I'm going to do it normally this week. And now it's going to be extra late because people are expecting it on a Saturday. And now it was supposed to be Monday and it's not live. And everyone's disappointed. And now I moved it to Wednesday again. It's just like I feel bad about it. But it doesn't make a difference in the long run. Okay, wait. Let me see Espada's message. Why you DM me this? I didn't forget Duolingo. I actively sought Duolingo and chose not to do it. Because I had a week streak of doing, maybe it was even 2 weeks of doing my Duolingo every day. I deserved some space to breathe today. I had a headache. Don't judge me. Let me just quickly check. You saved your 407. Okay, wait. Oh no. I just had one week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days with no streak freeze. And now I have a streak freeze. And now I start again. Blech. I'm tired. They can go buy Toei and give you permission to do live reactions then. Yeah. And check your food chat when you have a chance. I will. I saw something today in the manga chat. And I was curious because I saw this Girl Meets Rock playlist. And I read a little bit about here. Bob said that even in Manga Plus, they can't put songs anymore, even though it's just like probably references, but because of copyright issues. Like even Manga Plus struggles with copyright issues. So my point is, how to say it? People, copyright is an interesting thing. Not just here, but everywhere. Is that carrot cake? Steak and chips. Brownie and ice cream with raspberry sauce. Raspberry pudding. Whoa, my goodness. That looks amazing. Ew, that's a lot of puddings. And you can take as many as you want, right? I'd take that one. That looks very fruity. And all of this looks very sweet. Whoa. Okay, wait, here's more. Oh, shoot. I didn't really end the video, but oh well. That's a plate of home food. Meat, meat, meat. 2 pieces of broccoli, chips. That's a balanced meal right there. Wow, this looks like very fancy restaurant quality. What was this? Butternut soup or like a tomato-based sauce? Oh, churros! Mac and cheese? Soup? Fried chicken? Gnocchi? Chicken pasta?
Yum, 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 yum.
Whoa! Fruit art for display only. Gorgeous. Is this a meal or a snack? Bacon? Like really thick bacon? Oh, wow. Thick cut of bacon. Yo, yo, yo. Luffy is freaking out right now. Thick cut bacon. A giant steak. This part can make me sick if I eat too much of it. But the fact, if you eat it with a little bit of... This is Luffy's plate, for sure. That looks like whoopsies. Is this your... Oh, maybe like a mac and cheese side? Lamb chops? Happy birthday! Is that your birthday cake? Chocolate cake. Damn, I don't even want to know. Like, this is one of those... Where's the drool emoji? This is like... I need to go to the gym after this cruise, you know? But it looks like you ate amazing. It sounded like you did a lot of fun things. Game Guy says, sorry, it's not much of a thing in Japan. Even Toei's US Twitter got copyrighted by Toei Japan. Yeah, but... yeah, it's something that we should still figure out as a society, though, because... like with games, you want to hang out with a community and play games. I think it's the same for shows and books, and I think there are good ways to make sure that everyone gets props, you know, but you don't really... I don't think it should be like... we don't want to discourage community engagement when it comes to the consumption of content, because it just feels that's one of the biggest points of why like stories exist. It's to bring people together. It's why freaking life exists, man. We don't want to... I know I can't say it properly because I'm tired, but I think that life exists partly because we're dependent on each other, and that means relationships, friends, family, fans of the same things. So we need to find a way where those fans can come together and enjoy it without... yeah, I don't know. Dad made sushi. Is this like before it's like cut? Is this like the sushi roll? Looks good. Is it prawn sushi? Salmon sushi? It's not easy to make sushi, so you actually need lessons for that, and that's actually pretty fun. Something I would try in the future. Sushi. Pepperoni sushi? I actually did have meat sushi in Japan. It was pretty good. I'm gonna find it. And then I'm gonna end the video for real and the stream. He is creative sometimes. Food. Let me... I searched food on my phone. I have no idea if it'll actually show up. I think it should though, but it's gonna be much further back. Further. Found it. Almost. Almost. Here. So I went to izakaya with Panya, and there was meat sushi. Okay, wait, it's loading. I'm questioning my emotes now. Because you made a sushi emote. It's a type of sushi. Yep. That's Hanku saying, wow, in the background. Man, I miss Japan so much. Look at this. It's like a candied apple, but it's just candied grape. And the strawberries, and it was the best thing of my life. Oh, I want to go back to Japan. Okay. This was one of the most traditional things that I ate, but it was too fresh. So healthy. Hanku had like a beef bowl, and then that's Hanku's. What was the blob on the right? Blob? Oh, you mean like something that was, I think it was a vegetable that was a fried vegetable. I lost it now. Oh, I think it was this. Like two different kind of vegetables, and one was like a type of potato. Okay. Goodbye, everyone. I am exhausted. I really appreciate everyone's comments, and I apologize profusely for being frustrated by some. You can see it as, successfully sharing a controversial opinion, but that doesn't mean both of us could work on how we say things in the future. Okay. Game guy. Oh, thank you, Modru. Thanks. Definitely let me know the next stream day, next Friday. Choose your song or choose two songs. I would play you now, but I'm exhausted, so I don't want to imagine. Yeah, yeah, bring bang bang, yeah. So thank you so much. I'm glad to have you back. I look forward to all the pictures. And Modru, Odinoko, Game Guy, Spada, Booty, Doji, if you're still around, Hunter. Shout out to everyone who answered as well. Shoru, Blackblade, Nox, Ray, Nyader. I'm really kind of surprised by Nyaders. I am not gonna lie. I thought we had similar tastes, so I was really surprised. I was thrown. I'll see you guys on Wednesday for reactions. Witch Hat and Dragon Ball Super. On Thursday for ReZero, Shangri-La Frontier and Mushishi. And then on Friday for Zenless Zone Zero. And before that, I will be reacting to Slime. So I thought me and you had similar tastes. Yes, the person who loves pink hair definitely has the same taste as you. Flamboyant. I got a lot of reactions to catch up to. My biggest recommendation to start with, when you're finished with your favorites, Spyler and Panya. Well, Spyler gifted his sponsor spot to Panya, and I reacted to. She chose a movie called The Legend of Hay. So if you haven't seen that, or if you haven't seen it, watch the movie. If you have seen it, watch the reaction. I think you'd really like it. Okay. Have a great new week, and thank you for a super fun and busy weekend.